Hello and welcome to Our Schools, the program devoted to the West Seneca Central School District. My name is Bill Phelps and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes. I'm a resident of the West Seneca Central School District and strongly support its current focus on student achievement. I'm also a member of the Citizens Committee created to inform our community of the $38 million capital improvement project that we hope will provide the necessary environment to support the district's focus. Our students deserve no less. One situation our bond will help alleviate is crowded classrooms. Educational needs have changed with the times. All of West Seneca's classrooms are now computer connected. Students work in cooperative groups, so desks and rows are a thing of the past. Hands-on learning is happening all over our district. Students, teachers, and aides need space to teach and learn effectively. To enhance our focus on academic achievement, the West Seneca Central School District encourages our students to develop their talents. Statistics show that students who study music are more apt to do well academically. Our district's music program is second to none in Western New York. Musical groups from West Seneca have performed outstandingly in statewide and national competitions. Our kindergarten through 12th grade music students have brought pride and enjoyment to thousands in our community and beyond. Students' learning environments should be comfortable and adequate. West Seneca Central students deserve no less.
It is a difficult situation here at West. I can share a story with you with one of the first days that I taught here at West. I walked into the room, I was outside gathering the kids into the classroom for my first class, and I walk into the room and I couldn't even walk into the room. We had 93 individuals in the Coraliers freshman choir class, and I almost had a heart attack, so I couldn't even get the kids into our room. So I had to find another space because this space wasn't adequate. It wasn't safe. It wasn't safe for all the kids to be in there. It was a fire hazard. So we had to move things around and change things around. It is a beautiful, beautiful environment here at West Seneca West, but the conditions are tough for the kids.
First we'll fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean.
If the bond issue goes through in November, I think I'll be smiling for a month straight. The students here at West will be given a better education. First of all, when we try to start every class with our warm-ups and we stretch out, we can't stretch out. We stretch up like this and a little bit to the side, but normally I'd love to have the kids get ready to sing and move them all across the room and have them warm up to sing. Also, when we sit down and do a little more of a music theory aspect of singing, I would love to see the kids working desks. Not for me per se, but for the kids. Because right now they're scrunched up, they're doing this, they're doing that, and they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable. It's tough. It's tough for them, but they plug away and they do the best they can with the situation that we have here. Unfortunately, it's just not the right situation.
The West Seneca Central School District takes pride in educating all of our children. Different abilities have given rise to diversified programs. Therapies for special needs students, gifted and talented classes, and academic intervention programs for the general population push our buildings to capacity.
This office is actually located inside of another office. It's located on the inside of the nurse's office. There have been some difficulties over the years, some concerns that the students do have to walk through the nurse's area where there are several cots laying down, so my students coming down for their social work services do have to pass through that, which probably isn't the most healthy of passageways into your counseling session. The space is limited. It's a little crowded in here, as you can see, and we don't have any exterior windows to the outside, so there's no airflow. We last year got a fan up on the wall, which was very nice to have some moving air, but there is no outside airflow or windows or anything like that in here. I do share this office space with Diane Marshulo, who's a school psychologist here. We're both professionals and we both do the best we can juggling and rotating our schedule, so we try not to be in here at the same time, but there may be circumstances when we are both here at the same time, and that could produce some conflicts and some problems. The other conflict actually with such a small office space is I can't really see many more than 2 kids at a time in here. So if I've got a large family I'm working with, it's pretty cramped. and a parent, a child, myself, and that's about it. So if there's more kids involved in the family, which is often the case, I've got to sign out another room and try to find a conference room if that's not being used. So there definitely is a lot of juggling around of office space and locations, and meeting with the kids and the parents in different spaces. I don't know that that's the best way to go about it.
The school district and community have a $109 million investment in our buildings and property. Many details of the capital improvements plan are designed to maintain our buildings well into the next 2 decades. Jim Heimburg, our Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds, has been involved with the project since it was first commissioned by the Board of Education in October of 2001.
Today I'd like to share with you some information about our facilities and how we are trying to plan for the future of our school district. We began with a study of our buildings that led to a capital project in 1994 and 1995. This project prepared us for the computer technology program that has become a part of our everyday lives. However, there were many things that we were unable to accomplish at that time. Additionally, we have done some research on class size and tried to determine the best size classes for optimum student achievement in our school district. Because our schools are used very differently today than 20 or 30 years ago, we also tried to gather information about our building's capacity and room utilization. For example, some of our libraries are too small and very crowded by the time we have books, computers, and add students to the room.
We have a typical 6th grade class today. There are only 19 children in this class. Our normal size class is 23 children. We only have 7 computers. We only have seating for about 19 children. And again, if a normal class is 23, we have children sitting on the floor. The physical space is not adequate for us to keep the collection that we would like to accommodate the New York State standards for 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. Being on the 2nd floor, it's very difficult to have any airflow coming into the room. We usually end up sitting on the floor because that's the coolest part in the library, and that's not conducive to be doing worksheets, and it's great for story time, but we do a lot more in the Library Media Center besides story time, and there just simply is not enough room. It is extremely difficult to teach a lesson in the Library Media Center. What we have had to do is break the class up, and I take half of the class one day and the other half of the class the next day, because that is literally the only way the children have enough room to spread out their materials, spread out their encyclopedias. Also working on the computers, since we only have 7 computers, we cannot fit an entire class to do a research project at the same time. So I usually break them up and take half of the class one day and half the other day. That breaks into our scheduling too, and the teacher's scheduling, to have to allow 2 days to get one class project done to do research. If the bond issue passes, it would be wonderful if we were able to relocate the Library Media Center here at Winchester and have enough room for all of the children to be able to do the projects that we want them to do and they want to do. We want them to have space to be able to pick out the books they want. We want the children to have everything that they need, and just a little bit larger library will do the trick.
Some rooms are shared and have many different uses, such as occupational and physical therapy, hearing and vision, wellness equipment, gifted and talented students, all sharing one space. And in some cases, without adequate space, we even have classrooms on carts.
I am one of those teachers on cart. I teach foreign language at West Middle. One of the biggest issues that I see is our flexibility in setting up our classrooms. I travel to 3 different classrooms to teach 5 separate classes. In any different classroom, those desks could be arranged in a number of different ways. It's difficult for the teacher who I'm moving into, as well as for me, to effectively teach my content. At West Middle, we pride ourselves on our use of technology in our classroom to augment what we're trying to teach in our content. When you're traveling from room to room on cart, valuable minutes are lost setting up technology in every class that you visit. In addition, we find that there's valuable teaching minutes lost in terms of closing down our classes, packing up all of our materials in our cart, and again, we have 4 minutes of passing time, just like the students, to get to our next room and set up for the next class. What we find is the inability to post our student work is a problem. Students are proud of the work that they produce, and without having to post them anywhere in the school, they can't take pride in what they're creating in our classrooms. Also, it's difficult for us to use posters and other cultural pieces to enhance our students' learning. Without anywhere to put them up, it's just not something that is available to us. And taking them from class to class is just not a feasible idea when we have this much space. If I did have my own classroom, I feel that students would have a more enriching foreign language experience. They'd be able to have a better understanding of the culture and be more exposed to the language as a whole instead of having to share that with another content area.
The New York State Education Department told each school district to have their buildings checked by a licensed architect and an engineer to determine the longevity of each building system. All of this information that we have gathered, we have done to try to optimize our state aid. We have made a firm commitment from the school board, the superintendent, and every employee to each student in this district that we will do all things possible to always improve student achievement. The buildings of the West Seneca Central School District range in age from 1921 for Ebenezer, 1939 for Winchester, 1949 for the bus garage, and 1950 for West Senior. Additionally, in the 50s, we built Allendale Elementary and the West Middle School. In the 1960s, we constructed East Middle, Potter Road Elementary, and Clinton Elementary. In 1970, we constructed Northwood Elementary, and we also built our East Senior High School. In 1973, we constructed West Elementary, our newest building, which is fast approaching 30 years of age. All of this information that we have gathered, we've tried to select several project goals that we think would be most beneficial for our school district. First is our health, safety, and code issues, handicap accessibility, rescue and capital projects. All of these things leading to our improved student achievement and to optimize our state aid. Our health, safety, and code issues include upgrading of unit ventilators and air handlers. There are a couple of school buildings in our school district that have very outdated equipment. Although it is still functioning, it does not meet some of today's standards. We also have to consider our bus garage, which was constructed in 1949, and it was designed to handle much smaller buses than we have today. We have parking lots in the school district that cause a severe problem for dropping off students and dismissal of students. Those parking lots should be redesigned and perhaps enlarged and widened so that we can have a safer dismissal program.
At the current time, our bus situation for dismissal is inadequate. We have 12 school buses that come to pick up all of the children here at Winchester, and we can only fit about 5 to 6 buses in our loop at one time. With that said, that means that there are several buses that have to circle the neighborhood, park about a block away, and wait for open spots in our loop to enter and pick up children. The other part of our dismissal procedure that kind of extends the dismissal procedure is that we only call out 3 buses at a time for our students, especially the primary students, so that when they exit the school, they're not interacting with the intermediate level students, they're not getting confused, and they can easily find their bus. So with the small bus loop that we have, plus the way we dismiss our children for safety purposes, it's an extended period of time, and the school buses need to park down Harlem Road or on the side streets waiting for open spots. If a parent chooses to pick up a child, they need to park on Harlem Road, come in, enter into our gymnasium, sign the child out, exit the school, along with all the other children who are exiting the school, the buses, and the busy traffic on Harlem Road. So it is a safety issue as well as overcrowding in our bus loop. If we could have the buses pull into the back of our school and extend the parking area to accommodate the buses and the parent pickup procedure, I think that would enhance the safety of our dismissal procedures, but also make it more efficient.
We have electric panels in our school district that are back from 1949, 1950, and even older. Some of them have not been changed, and although we've done some electrical upgrades, there are many more which need to be done. Additionally, there is a new requirement for school buildings to have backflow preventers on our water systems. There's only 2 buildings in the district, Allendale Elementary and West Elementary, that already have those. The rest of the buildings all need to have them installed. All of our school buildings need more security sensors and cameras just because of today's more conscious security efforts. And all of our buildings also need to have fire alarms and emergency lighting upgrades, mainly because we use our school facilities for shelters and other emergency programs. Our second goal, handicapped accessibility. There are several areas that we still need to make improvements on. West Senior has a ramp that leads from the old building to the new building down to what is about the library area. We need to construct a different type of a lift or arrangement for our handicapped citizens. Northwood Elementary, Winchester Elementary, and East Senior each need lavatories remodeled to make additional improvements in those buildings for handicapped accessibility. Under our rescue program, there were many systems that were identified as outdated, including air handlers, unit ventilators, some heating systems, and various controls. Many of the buildings will have to have those things changed in the near future.
Right here is our domestic hot water boiler that we have, and it supplies hot water through the entire building. And you know, it runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. And it's got about a 3-inch gas line to it. It's, I think, pretty energy inefficient, you know, and we don't really use that much hot water here except for the kitchen. And the kitchen hot water is supplied off of this hot water tank, and it does a wonderful job. It heats it up good, and I think we could probably use something like that to replace this.
We also have considerable amount of work to do in our auditoriums. We have some seats that still need to be refurbished or replaced at our Allendale Elementary and East Senior. There's carpeting to be replaced at East Senior High School as well, and the armrests need to be refinished at West Senior High School. There are stage floors in many of our school buildings that also need to be redone, and that would require sanding and resurfacing. The lockers in the West Seneca School District are in need of repair. There are several that would need to be refurbished. There are other lockers that need to be replaced.
The lockers also have not been replaced since the building opened in 1969. They really don't accommodate, in terms of the size of the lockers, they don't accommodate the books that students bring to school, nor in more inclement weather, any kinds of coats. They're very narrow for students who are senior high students. They also are in a state of disrepair, and you can see, in this case, there's no lock. In many cases, they're also rusted inside, and they no longer can be repaired, and they cannot be used because they don't close.
Additionally, in our rescue and capital programs, we have paving that needs to be done at many of our school buildings. Parking lots and roadways are in disrepair and will need to be resurfaced. Additionally, Winchester has classroom floors that are hardwood floors, and they too need to be sanded and refinished. Our brick pointing is also an issue in several buildings where mortar is coming out of some of our joints, and we will need to do a large pointing program in each of the buildings. To prepare for the next 25 years, our district should plan to modernize our facilities in order to create the best possible learning environment so our students have all the tools necessary for maximum achievement.
What is the financial impact of these necessary improvements? The school district has proposed a bond of $38,643,600 to be paid over 30 years. The property tax impact on residents of West Seneca will be 0 for the first year, 22 cents per thousand of assessed value in the second year, 49 cents in the third year, and 70 cents or less for the fourth and following years. If we look at a home with a market value of $137,000, we see that the assessed value is $80,000. Taking into account the basic star property tax savings, we estimate this homeowner will pay $43.46 per year to give students the benefits of this project. A senior citizen would pay even less. With the senior star property tax savings on a home assessed at $80,000, this citizen will pay just over $35 per year. Many seniors will pay less, depending on the assessed value of their property. Senior property owners who have not paid school property taxes because of the STAR program will still not, as long as their assessed valuation is $29,870 or less. The West Seneca Central School District has tried to keep costs as reasonable as possible for the capital improvement project. The Facilities Committee began with a project calling for $89 million worth of work. By concentrating on health and safety issues, as well as items that give direct educational benefit to students, the committee members reduced the expenditure to $38,643,600. Most importantly, New York State aid is available in the amount of $25,384,000. This figure represents reimbursement of 71.4 cents for every dollar spent. Throughout this process, we have been asked a number of questions in relation to the capital improvement bond. Here's a number of the more frequently asked questions. First, why is the district presenting this capital improvement bond? Well, the school district and the community have a $109 million investment in the school property and buildings. Preventive maintenance now will help protect the community's investment and maintain it for the next 20+ years. The age of our buildings ranges from 30 to 80 years. Action taken now can help preserve the structures and avoid the urgency of building new facilities at a much higher cost. After voter approval in November, the earliest work could begin is spring of 2005. This is due to state mandates and the review of the project. Completion is expected in the fall of 2007. Also, interest rates are currently at a low level. Construction costs are equally reasonable. The state will require nearly $23 million of health, safety, and welfare improvements be done to comply with its mandatory rescue study completed in 2001. If this money were to be taken from the general operating budget instead of a capital improvement bond, no state aid would be forthcoming. Another question, I have no children in school. How does the project benefit me? Well, a quality school system is vital to help protect and even increase property values. Families searching for a home look closely at the excellence of the local schools. A school district's facilities are an important reflection of its educational program. The district believes now is the time to protect our community's investment and improve the learning environment for our students. Are the school buildings used in the evenings as well? School facilities are now used extensively from 6 a.m. and until 11 p.m., daily and throughout the year. Before school care programs, after-school tutoring, and summer school for grades K through 12 extend the school day and year. Community groups such as the Boy and Girl Scouts, sports travel teams, and service organizations use our facilities on a regular basis. West Seneca Central School District's community education program spans all the seasons. The district offers 1,200 community education classes serving 8,000 residents yearly. Why aren't these improvements part of the regular school budget? Routine building maintenance is a part of the yearly operational budget. The yearly budget does not qualify for state aid. Larger expenditures such as roofs, windows, brick pointing are best financed through a capital improvement bond. For example, if the district had an emergency repair bill of $700,000, taxes would have to be increased by 42 cents per thousand of assessed value. Just that year, just to cover the cost. In contrast, state aid allows 71.4% reimbursement for a planned preventive maintenance. This reduces the local cost to approximately 13 cents per thousand. Well, why does the plan include additional classrooms? Educational needs have changed with the times. The widespread use of computers in classroom makes more space necessary. Desks are no longer in rows, as cooperative learning occurs at tables and in groups. Inclusion students require aides, adding to the number of people in classrooms, despite the smaller class sizes. Early intervention for physical and speech therapies also increases space needs. Finally, related service providers, such as psychologists, social workers, and reading specialists, serving our student body, require dedicated space to perform their duties adequately. Which facilities will receive improvements? Each of the school buildings will receive some amount of work. Older buildings may need more attention than the newer buildings in order to keep them in good condition. The bus garage will receive necessary renovation to ensure the safety of bus drivers, mechanics, staff, and visitors to the facility. Well, how did the figure of $38,643,600 come about? The district's facilities committee has met for the past 2.5 years to study the best way to maintain and improve the school buildings. Many factors went into the decision to move ahead with this project at this time. Among them, Committees of school principals, staff, and parents compiled a list for each building and included improvements mandated by the state, such as handicapped accessibility and fire code compliance. Items that would give students and staff a better learning environment were added. The district-wide list totaled over $89 million. It was reduced to $38,643,600 by the members of the Facilities Committee. They concentrated on the state-mandated areas as well as items giving direct educational benefit to the students. Can we count on state aid once the bond is approved? The State of New York aid is currently available to help finance the project. The district anticipates reimbursement of 71.4 cents for every dollar spent. The bond referendum will be brought to the voters on Tuesday, November 25, 2003 at East Senior High School, 4760 Seneca Street in the gymnasium from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you for watching this episode of Our Schools. We hope that we've given you the information that you need to make your decision on the bond issue on November 25th.